Today, I had the absolute pleasure of posting a photo to the Sunday Scaries Instagram feed of Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, Atlanta's own, which I have not watched the most recent season. I had it downloaded for the plane ride, but I never got into it.
Yeah, I've not
Um,
watched it either.
he was caught in, I think, New York City, just absolutely rocking out, just some short shorts and a tattered crew neck, and it just started getting me thinking. I mean, in Texas we're not here yet, but everywhere else they're right on the precipice of my favorite season, which is shorts crew neck season.
My man Donald, honestly, I'm a little worried he's about to hang brain here. That's my
Yeah,
only thing. And
yeah.
maybe that's the vibe, maybe just putting out that BDE. But
I don't have any underwear that can sustain these shorts.
I pray to God these have a mesh liner in there. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. He's about to fall out. If you're watching on YouTube right now, we put up a photo of Donald Glover rocking this look. Our patron saint, Haley Bieber, who rocks this literally all the time.
Yeah.
Her inspiration, I'm going to assume, Princess Diana, who's been all over the internet lately.
Hmm.
And Kanye, who went through a big phase of this before the pandemic. I think this was around the Pablo time of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he really championed this for a long time. No pun intended there. Barrett, do you subscribe to the crew neck or
I do.
sweater shorts season?
Yeah, I do totally understand why people love hoodie and shorts or crew neck and shorts or long sleeve tee in shorts, even if if you're from Texas.
I'm doing that right
maybe-
now,
Yeah,
actually.
maybe that's all we can handle with the weather. Yeah, it's great because it's very comfortable up top, but it's very breathable on bottom. So you never really feel overheated, but you also stay warm in a bit
Mhm.
of a chill or a breeze or something like that. It also, I think people really like it because it signals almost more than anything else like the transitional nature of September, October,
Mhm.
right? Like especially if you live somewhere that actually gets seasons, it's like, yeah, the days are still kind of long, but evenings, mornings maybe getting a little bit cooler for you, and we're starting to think about putting the pumpkins on the doorstep and like getting geared up for the fall and the leaves turning and the just all the stuff that comes with that. So it's a popular and celebrated look for a reason that I totally understand.
Because we had so little room in our suitcase, I did something all trip that is kind of what Kanye's doing in this photo, which I was just draping a sweater over my shoulders and calling it a day.
Mm.
I did this on our boat day, which I thought was just an unnecessary flex because I probably didn't need a sweater for a boat
Did
day.
you tie it around your neck?
I did at one point. I will talk about this later, but I did leave my sweater at a restaurant that it was only accessible by boat, and so I
Mm.
could not recover said sweater, and that
Oh,
ruined
no.
it ruined my vibe the rest of the trip.
So you lost a sweater, Sally lost a phone.
I'll get to it a little bit, but it was a boat ride where there was a lot of casualties. It was not ideal.
Oh, did this happen on the same excursion?
Yes,
Oh
and then we
no,
also had
man.
one more casualty as well.
My
It was
goodness.
devastating, but we thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if we should get super dressed up for this like boat day because we're going to be on a boat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're like, how many times in life are we going to have the opportunity to have like a boat just taking us anywhere we want along the Amalfi Coast?
Right.
And we knew we needed to we needed to look good in order to play good.
You had to
there.
take advantage of the boat,
Yeah,
right? For sure.
yeah, and it ruined us.
You know what? One of the thing about this is I actually have on jeans today, even though it's like, what was the high today? Like
Like a
99 or
million?
something crazy like that. I've been wearing mesh shorts or like some nylons recently, but in the office, it gets so cold with the AC that like I'm like grabbing like samples out of the Howler archive and like draping them over my legs like a blanket. And it's just not comfortable. And I maybe it's because I sit like right under the AC fan or something like that. But I've actually this is one of my kind of late September moves is it's basically been shorts and t-shirts for like 120 days straight now.
Yeah.
And at some point you just have to throw the gauntlet down and say, I'm making the switch. It's pants from here on out.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out. And this is a stress that I have every time I try to do long sleeves and shorts. What's my sock game supposed to do these days? Like no show socks, people that are very polarizing with people.
They are.
When it comes to, crew socks, I feel like sometimes, and I'm talking about something that we talked about during last episode's listener questions, is that sometimes I feel like I'm just looking too frat dude.
Yeah.
And so I'm just at kind of an identity crisis of how to rock some socks that don't look like they're too high up my leg, but also not looking like I'm just doing the no-show look.
Yeah, it is definitely a bit of a conundrum sometimes. And I think that the ideal here, the out of our selection of four, the person that is doing this the best happens to be Kanye.
It does happen to be Kanye, in my opinion as well.
Phil and I, Phil from Club Cool, we're both really big on what we call the quarter sock.
Mhm.
Everybody makes one. Nike makes one. Stance makes one. Bombas makes one. But if you can find a crew that's even just a little bit shorter, that's not just like, when you pull it up, it's like covering your entire calf. That's no good. But that's one thing that's really really helpful for this to not look so fratty or like, especially with the popularity of New Balance. I'm a subscriber myself at this point. When I do like a white sock in a New Balance, I have the same type of reaction as you do sometimes, where I'm like, do I look like I'm about to go to like my first day in third grade
Mhm.
right now?
Mhm.
It's like that combo of like, is this too fratty or is it even worse than that? Do I look like a little kid right now?
Yeah, yeah, and I have short
Um,
legs, so, like, the longer the sock, more I start worrying about it
yeah.
because, like, I don't want it to shorten my legs even more than it already does.
So shortening that sock, so still showing sock but shortening it helps big time. And then the other thing that Kanye is doing here that I really like is going like with some type of sock that's not a pop color but isn't white either.
Mhm,
So if you can find like some tans or some beige or something
mhm.
kind of neutral like that to play around with, that's also really good. The thing about the no show, I think that what's going on with the no show right now is you don't want it to look like you're trying to hide your socks, but then you didn't do it very well.
Yeah, I
So
do
if
something
you just have like a little bit peeking up or a little bit poking out, that just kind of looks not necessarily bad, but unfinished
yeah,
or unintentional.
I do something that kills my feet, but the reason I do it is because I don't like the socks to be visible at all, and I buy these little tiny socks from Target that pretty much cut off the circulation of my big toe because it's bearing so much of the weight, and it doesn't stick out very much, but the reason I do that is because I don't like it when it sticks out at all,
Yeah.
and I also refuse to do it with any shoe that is not, like, a pair of Vans or something like that.
Well,
It
that's
like,
in
no loafer,
yeah.
I never do it with anything else.
That the just the lower vamp of some shoes that are popular also makes this really difficult because like my go-to for a no-show is a sock called the Gamut by Stance,
Okay.
which stays on really well, and is essentially like a traditional no-show sock that is
Yep.
just like cut off the very top so that you won't see it on a traditional sneaker. But like on a pair of, it works on like a Vans Epoch, for example.
Yeah.
But if I throw on a slip-on, a Vans slip-on, it's no good. You'll see the very top of it. And so that's when you got to go find those ones like you're talking about, which are basically just
Dude.
like secured by a little piece of rubber to your big toe in
Oh,
the
it's
back of your
terrible.
heel. And it's not good and it's not
It's all I
comfortable.
had for the flight yesterday, and
Yeah,
my toes were just screaming at me like, "Dude, because I refuse to be the person that took their socks off on the flight.
right,
I know
right.
it was a 9.5 hour flight. I still wasn't gonna be that guy.
But yeah, especially when you get into loafers, if you can't find a sock that is completely hidden, even like when you're walking too, make sure that those socks are hidden when you are walking.
Mhm.
If they are popping up with loafers, you gotta just bear the burden and go barefoot.
Yep. Yep.
Do not do That's the biggest mistake you can make.
What's the worst thing that
Is a
happens? You have smelly shoes, you might get a blister,
Yeah,
whatever. Put a liquid bandage on for the rest of the week.
we live in humid and hot as fuck Texas, and like I generally don't wear socks with loafers. My trick is I just like sprinkle like talcum powder or baby powder in the loafers.
Mhm.
Helps keep it dry. Helps like keep it a little bit fresh. And like yeah, if you're gonna be gone for 10-hour day, like your feet are gonna get sweaty. But it's better than me strutting around and like having a tiny little sliver of some black no-show sock keep poking out above, right on my on the
It just can't happen. It's just
the
not a good
lateral side
look.
of my foot. Yeah. No.
People are talking about you behind your back. It's not good.